My name is Tochi. I'm trying to figure life out through documenting it. This is a trigger warning. This video is going to discuss matters of mental health that might be triggering for some people. If you are triggered by topics around wanting or not wanting to be alive, I highly suggest you maybe don't watch this video. Today's video is a video journal prompted by a question that I was asked in therapy and I didn't have an answer. So I've decided that I'm going to document the process of me trying to figure out why I should stay alive. This life thing, it's super complicated and it's also quite simple, but it's confusing to me and sometimes very overwhelming. So my mental health is interesting, to say the least. Sometimes I feel like my mind is working against me. I can't control certain thoughts that I have. They are scary and they're not safe for me. I found a therapist that is awesome at what she does and specializes in the aspects of mental health that I need help with. I have therapy every week, so I'm having these conversations often. I wouldn't have been able to have this conversation, let alone record it and post it online, about a year ago. So this is progress. Being in a position where I can even ask myself why I should stay alive and believe that I actually do want to stay alive is a big step for me. So my therapist assigned me this question and my homework was to answer it. There was no pressure around having to find an answer, but there was definitely a nudge to do my best to try and see what options I come up with. And to be very honest with you, trying to answer the question for myself, why I should stay alive, was very difficult. I found it very hard. I found it hard to find answers that I genuinely believed and that I felt would actually help me in moments of crisis. I wrote some things down. I honestly don't remember when I wrote these down. I think I was like deep in meditation when I wrote them down, especially because I speak in plural and I tend to speak in plural when meditating. One of the things that I said was, we have felt that way too, but we stuck around. What I'm getting from that is that I am a product of many, many people. I come from my parents and my parents come from their separate parents and they come from their separate parents. And when you just keep dividing that's a lot of people that existed for me to be here today recording this video, talking to you. I do believe that at least one of all of those people had similar mental experiences to me and chose to stick around. So that, I think, was why I wrote this down, like as a source of inspiration. Like, other people have gone through this and other people are going through this and you're not the only one going through this and they're sticking around, therefore you should and can stick around too. It's not moving me. It doesn't feel like enough of a reason, but that's what I wrote down. I also have, people need to know that being human is a journey. Your journey. I like this one because everyone's journey and everyone's human experience is unique to them, right? But regardless of knowing that, we can also recognize that there are layers. I need to readjust. Hold on. Okay. I recognize that we're all having a human experience and that, everyone's journey is unique to them. But one of the reasons why I started YouTube is because I felt like, so growing up, I felt like everybody had their life figured out and it felt like perfection existed all around me, but for some reason I was unable to attain it. It felt like everybody had their shit figured out and somehow I didn't. It felt like everybody was living in this utopia that I didn't have access to and I couldn't understand why. I couldn't understand why everyone seemed so happy, everyone seemed so put together, everyone seemed like they know what they wanted out of life, they knew what they were doing, they were happy to be alive. I was just very confused, and I shouldn't even just say when I was growing up, like I felt this way up until very recently, like maybe like 2-3 years ago. And so I started YouTube because I believe that there are other people moving through life with experiences similar to mine, in that they recognize that life is not necessarily a bed of roses and it's not necessarily a walk through the park, and it's okay to acknowledge that there are some bumps in the road, and it's okay to acknowledge that life isn't always smooth regardless of how other people may present their lives as smooth. And I just wanted to create a platform where people knew, like, this is hard sometimes and every day that we are able to stick through it is a really big deal and something to be celebrated. So I wrote down that people need to know that being human is a journey, because I think in asking myself, why do I want to be alive? It's to show people that sometimes I don't want to be, but I choose to be, because I recognize that life is a journey and no one has it figured out, at least not 100%. And there's so much more to life than the difficulties that it presents. So I also wrote down unapologetically attempting to figure life out without allowing others to decide what that journey should look like. I think that ties in directly with what I was saying before, except it adds the bit about not allowing others to decide what that journey should look like. I think the reason why I put that down as a reason why I should stay alive is because there was a period in time where my thoughts around not wanting to be alive were heavily rooted in not being able to fit in these boxes that other people had created for me, or fit within the parameters that society deemed as like normal or acceptable, or what is necessary to succeed, or what is considered to be socially acceptable, or what is considered to be respectful or non-problematic, palatable, just all of these things that I felt like I never chose to be a part of, but were like forced onto me, and trying to ensure that I adhered to those parameters put a pressure on me that made me not want to be alive, because it felt like no matter what I do, I can't do this right, and no matter what I do, this doesn't feel right. Not being able to do it right and it not feeling right, still it felt like to the people who were putting these pressures on me, didn't matter. Like, it just felt like it was like, it doesn't matter whether it feels good or whether you can do it perfectly, but this is how you have to do it, because this is what society says is right, and this is what society says is normal, and this is what society says is acceptable. And for me, I just thought like, who created these rules? I didn't agree to them. For context, I'm Nigerian and I'm the firstborn child, and well, you know, yeah. So there are certain expectations of me culturally, traditionally, and just in general that I felt like, not that they didn't align with who I am, but it felt like the options that are presented to me, or that were presented to me, I don't really know, like as if there was only one way to get there, and if I didn't choose that one way, then I was doing it all wrong. And for me, I just felt like, well, why can't I do it the other way? And the answer being, well, because that's culture and that's tradition. I just felt that also made me feel like, damn, like, am I that far removed from my culture? Am I that far removed from my traditions that this doesn't feel like it's in alignment with what feels good to me, or like what feels right to me, you know? And that's a painful thing, to like feel detached from what is supposed to be your culture and tradition just because you do things differently. But I went to therapy for that, and my therapist was very, very helpful. She's Nigerian, she's based in Lagos, and she knows what she's talking about, and she was incredible. She really helped me bridge the gap between my identity, what I believe, how I move through the world, and being an Igbo Nigerian woman who's proud to be an Igbo Nigerian woman, who also sees herself as part of those traditions and those cultures, despite what other people may tell me. So yeah, those are the 3 points that I had journaled down about reasons why I should stay alive. But today I'm trying to think of reasons why I should stay alive. And just to let you know, like, I'm not in a place right now where I'm like actively trying to not be alive. So let me just put that out there. Even though at the back of my mind, like with the way my mind works, at the back of my mind, that's like a thought that's just constantly there. That's why I go to therapy, because I don't want that thought to be there anymore. Like, it just takes up my life, you know? It's so frustrating and annoying, because everything to me feels like an option, and I just want to be able to go through the day and just enjoy things for what they are, instead of seeing them as opportunities to help me not be here. And I've been like this since I was a child, so I didn't realize that this wasn't normal. I didn't realize that the way I think, or the way my mind works, is unhealthy and dark and considered a mental illness until the last 2 years, and I'm 29. It's been many, 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 many years of me just wondering, how is everyone doing this? How? I'm glad to be at a point though where I can have these conversations with other people, like my therapist, and even myself. For so long, I was so scared to say anything because I felt like everyone is thinking this, but no one says anything because it's bad to have these thoughts. Like, you shouldn't be having thoughts like this, so you just don't bring them up. So being in a position now where I'm able to talk about this out loud and also not be scared and not feel like I'm triggering myself. I'm not necessarily triggered by conversations that I have with myself when I'm feeling relatively okay, like I am today. It's been a bit of a rough week, to be honest with you. And when I say it's been a rough week, it's mainly because, back to the question at hand, I'm asking myself, like, why should I stay alive? And I can't find an answer, and that gets scary. It gets very scary, actually, because then it's easier for me to find answers. It's easier for me to find reasons why I shouldn't be, and it's so easy to find reasons why one shouldn't be. At least for me, like, it's so easy. Literally, like, what is going on in the world? Like, what's going on? Life is so complicated, and I didn't ask to be here. Actually, somebody told me that there's like this thing called the Akashic Records that essentially says that we actually all did choose to be here, like our energies or something. I don't even know. I haven't really looked into it, so I don't know. But from what I can remember and from the conscious memory I can pull from, I don't remember ever choosing to be here. But the thing is that sometimes, like, there are moments where I'm sitting with myself or I'm experiencing something and I'm just like so happy to be alive. And I'm so grateful that every time I didn't want to, I didn't go through with anything, because then I wouldn't be here right now experiencing this thing. I wouldn't be here right now happy to be alive. And so, you know what? Like, maybe I just need to remind myself of those moments. Like the moments where I'm genuinely happy to be alive and I mean it and I feel it. It's just that when I'm having a really hard day and it feels like my thoughts are uncontrollably dark, it just doesn't feel like anything can get me out of those thoughts except for just waiting it out. Like, when is this gonna end? I am working with my therapist on that, which is exciting because the mind is a really powerful tool and it can work for you and it can work against you. And I know that my mind works in unique ways because my therapist, we tried this technique called CBT, which I've mentioned in another video, where essentially I have to change a negative thought to a healthy thought. But there was one week I was having a really rough week, and when I have the negative thought, like, I don't want to be here, what actions can I take to not be here? I was supposed to replace that with an affirmation. I have the power to overcome this, overcome the thoughts of not wanting to be here. But one week I was having a really rough week and my mind literally went against me, and it was like I was doing the CBT where I was like, it's okay, like, I have the power to overcome this, I have the power to overcome this. And I was saying this, I was repeating this to myself so I don't get to the point where I'm like thinking, what can I do to not be here, right? That's the point, that you change the thought so you don't get to the point where you want to act. But in the middle of me thinking, I have the power to overcome this, I have the power to overcome this, my brain goes, well, if you have the power to overcome the thought, then you have the power to succeed at whatever action that you want to take to not be here. I was just like, why are you doing this to me? I'm literally trying to choose the healthy option. I'm trying to shift my thoughts to be positive, and you're turning against me like this. Now I'm pissed off at my mind. Now I'm pissed off at the thoughts that I'm having, because how? And why? Why? So that was concerning because the CBT was working for a while until I had a crisis that was, a bit harder to come out from than the others, and my mind working against me at that point made me feel like I couldn't trust my mind. I'm like trying to build trust with my own mind, because sometimes I just don't know if I can trust it to choose the healthier option when it comes to my thoughts, which is kind of wild to me, because I think just it's a natural visceral response to try and survive, like, as a human, you know what I mean? It's like if you're drowning, your body will automatically do actions to try and bring you to the surface so that you can get some air, or if you're in a tight spot, your body will naturally try to do what it can to create space, just things like that. So the fact that our bodies physically do these things to try and keep us alive and help us survive, I just don't understand why my mind can't follow suit. Why can't you naturally want to be alive? And there's a stigma when it comes to these kind of thoughts, right? I saw a thread on Twitter that was saying how it can affect getting getting jobs in that, like, if your employer knows that you have these kind of thoughts, they might not want to hire you. And I think that's because, you know, this world is run by capitalism, and if they think that you're going to, like, I guess, dispose of yourself without notice, that's like a detriment to their business, and they don't want to take on that liability, which is kind of annoying, honestly, because, like, I don't know, it just feels like it's just another sickness, it's just another illness, and I don't think disabilities should stop people from being able to fairly get jobs that they are qualified for and can do. But that's a whole different conversation. I'm still trying to figure out why I should stay alive, and although I have like a number of different reasons why, I want a reason that's going to really like resonate so deep in my spirit that during crises it can just snap me out, you know? I just want to be able to tell myself something or remind myself of something, give myself a reason that would just really shake the table. That's my hope. I think it's going to take a lot more than just like finding a reason why. It's going to be finding the will to live in conjunction with utilizing tools learned in therapy to help me get to the point where, in interacting with this reason why I should stay alive, I also believe it and I live with it. Like, I live with that belief so that the not wanting to be alive can disappear. I don't know, I feel like I'm rambling. This is just yet another video channel where I feel like I'm oversharing. It feels super cringe, like just putting my whole business and mental state out into the internet with the hopes that someone will see this and it will help them too. Like, honestly and truly. If my videos can help one person, like, I feel like my job here, I've completed the task. I've talked about this before also, but creating Chi is a space I've created for myself. I like to call it my internal safe space externalized, where I just give words of motivation, encouragement. I hold accountability sessions to help people accomplish their goals and things that make them feel good. I do all this because honestly, it's motivation for me to keep going, and also subconsciously me trying to find a reason why I should stay alive. Like, Chi is that for me. I had been doing a word of the day every day on Instagram from about 2018 to June of this year. Monday through Friday, every morning, I'm putting up a word of the day, and essentially it's just like words of encouragement, and it would be different things. I would wake up in the morning, meditate, and while meditating, I would think of my word of the day and then put that on my story on Instagram. And I did that for a really, really long time before it developed into Chi and what that space is, and now I use Chi to place my words of the day. But anyway, somebody sent me a message once and was like, I really wanted to myself today, but I saw your word of the day and it kept me going. And that really means a lot. That really meant a lot. It still does. It still does, because some of us are really struggling with these kind of thoughts, you know, not gonna cry. And to know that I helped someone keep going just by sharing my word of the day, like, what? That's incredible. Like, yeah, like, I get it. Like, I know what it feels like to not want to be here, and I know what it feels like to interact with one person or have one conversation or see one thing or read something, and that completely giving you the motivation to keep going. I know what that feels like. So it felt really special that I was able to do that for someone else. So actually, like, my reason why, is because I want other people to know that this shit is hard, but we can do it. Like, truly, we're so much stronger than these dark negative thoughts. Like, we really, really are. It's just hard to believe it when the thoughts are like so loud, you know? But I do like to think of these thoughts as like a virus, and it's not part of me. It's just, there was a video I saw recently where there's a snail that's been taken over by a parasite, and it makes the eyes and the head, like, I'm gonna find it, but it makes the eyes and the head like move back and forth like a worm so that a bird can eat it, and then the parasite can infect the stomach of the bird. Bro. That is what these thoughts feel like. It feels like it's like a virus trying to take over the joy and understanding of life that I have in my spirit to try and take me out. And I don't know why, but I can't let it win, you know what I mean? Like, I can't let these thoughts win. I cannot. That would be me allowing a virus to take over when I know I have the power and I know I have the strength to fight back and win. So yeah, that's today's video journal. Thanks for coming to another session of me oversharing on the internet, or feeling like I'm oversharing on the internet. Because you know, the thing is that when it comes to like sharing your experience online and stuff, we've been conditioned for, especially when it comes to content creation, I feel like we've been conditioned to see content creation as this really like perfect, well put together, nicely curated experience. And so when I put out content like this, because I feel like I am directly doing the opposite of that, it feels cringe because it's so raw. Like it just is. I look at videos of me that I've put out and like I want to criticize myself for different things I'm doing, or how I look, or how I'm dressed, or the things I say. And I'm like, bro, like, you're human. Like, what? We're innately imperfect. Just need to have more grace with myself, and more patience with myself, and more understanding of myself, and just keep reminding myself that I'm human. And all the encouragement and the advice and the motivation I give other people, reminding them of their strength, reminding them of their power, reminding them that they can do it, they can overcome life's challenges, I need to be able to give that to myself too, and believe it. So yeah, I don't know if I answered the question, but I feel like we got somewhere, you know? Yeah, I feel like we got somewhere. Okay. Thank you for watching this video and making it this far with me. I really appreciate it. I love you so much. Bye for now.